The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, as we in Congress hear your testimony and look back over the facts and what you're discussing, you know, I looked at your bios. You've each got, if you combine it, over 100 years in this area. So you're experts in what you do. If we look back over the time frame, Kaspersky didn't come up just recently, did it? When, Ms. Manfra, when did the idea of having a problem with the product come up?
When I first became engaged was around 2014.
Okay, so this president's been here for 9 months, so it's prior to this president coming into office.
Yes, sir.
The issue came up.
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned, Chairman Smith mentioned the ULA agreements. Are you familiar with those?
Yes, sir.
Walk me through the process for approving a ULA agreement.
It's somewhat dependent on the agency, but generically, when a company decides to procure a certain software, they would receive what the company would like that end user license agreement to look like. In some cases, we can negotiate some differences. Generally, we don't, but that is, again, a generic sort of process, though each agency might have different implementations.
So how many sets of eyes would look on would read a ULA agreement?
Ideally, you would have a legal review. Well, you would absolutely have a legal review. You would also have the procurement officials involved, and ideally you would also have the mission owners, and then you would have those individuals that are responsible for authorizing that network to operate and whatever software goes on that system.
So a lot of eyes go on it, and detail people that know are experienced in reading them.
Yes, sir.
And you say, I think your testimony was there's no abnormality in the ULA agreements that were signed.
No, sir.
Okay, is it normal to agree to binding arbitration and no trial by jury? Is it normal to give access to all data, microphones, and cameras? Is that part of is that boilerplate language that each agency would agree to?
Sorry, I can't comment on what each agency boilerplate language is, but access to much of your computer system is often required for antivirus systems and security software, which was one of the reasons that we look to understand how that data will be used and ensure we have a trusted relationship with that provider.
Well, I guess my question is, is it routine to waive a trial by jury?
That, sir, I would have to get back to you on as to whether that was common practice.
Well, we have testimony by Mr. Newman that was an abnormality, that was agreed to by somebody, somewhere, some agency.
It seems unusual, sir.
Okay. And you don't know which agency, your testimony was this agreement was reviewed by experts in the field by a lot of different agencies. Now, if that's not a routine clause, who would have put that in there?
Sir, I'd have to understand the details of what the testimony is that you're referring to, the expert testimony, and we can get back to you with details on what might be unusual that gentleman is referring to.
Okay. If you could get that in writing to all of the members, anybody here that would be interested in seeing it, I think all of us would.
Yes, sir.
The exact language that was agreed to, any abnormality that was not normal.
Yes, sir.
If you could highlight that, and then give us names of the different, I'm sure there are lawyers within the agencies that would agree, that looked at this. Give us the names of who looked at this ULA agreement.
I will do my best, sir.
I yield back.